Welcome everybody to another Deepvue full platform tutorial. We'll be covering everything today, how to get started in 15 minutes, top trader screens and screen presets and how to access those. A lot of great information there to quickly access the top stocks and find the best ideas quickly. We'll be going through trader workflows, how to do a daily routine, weekly routine, and also covering the screening functionality, the dashboard functionality, everything you need to really get started and get the most out of the Deepvue platform. This obviously is a project we've been working on for quite some time now. We're incredibly proud of it. And one of the key tenets of how we develop things, bring about new features and all of that is listening to feedback. So if you have any suggestions as we go, let us know in the chat. If you're watching the recording, let us know on the YouTube comments. We welcome any ideas, feedback, criticism. It can only make us better and help create a better platform that you want to use more. So please go ahead and do that as we go. When you first get started with Deepvue, you'll probably be met with something like this. Maybe this is all the way open. You've got some preset data columns here. To open up the chart, and this is something that when you're first getting started might be just a little bit hidden, is you want to click this arrow right here, and that pops out the chart again. You can resize this so you can have more data columns on the left-hand side or more chart space. And we'll talk about setting up the chart, getting started with key moving averages, volume, anchored VWAPs, all of that in just a minute. But first, taking a step back in terms of overall navigation of Deepvue. Right now, we're in the screener module. You can see the different modules here on the left-hand side. You can open up the menu to see the names by clicking this if you'd like to. But overall, we've got the dashboard module, which is kind of the general very customizable setup where you can have a data column app next to 5 chart widgets, next to a position risk management calculator. You can really, use all the capabilities of Deepvue and create your ideal trading dashboard. The screener module is much more focused on your routines, finding new ideas, going through the top trader screen presets, going through your favorite screens quickly using this top bar here. And the watchlist module is similar, just instead of screens, we're talking about only watch lists, and you can bookmark as many as you want up here to quickly navigate between your focus list, your holdings, your leaders list, whatever you want up here. You can go ahead and bookmark this and have that easy to navigate right there. This is the alerts module. That's where you go ahead and manage your alerts and review them as they come through. Down here we have the education module, where this will host our events that are upcoming. You can see that today's presentation is actually right here. You can actually always see the upcoming events and register for them right here. You can also watch previous webinars. I've done previous full platform walkthroughs. You can watch stuff specifically on stock screening, relative strength days, finding explosive stocks, specifically on the screener, finding stocks in market corrections. Basically, this is your hub for finding previous webinars. And we've also got different tutorials as well as many different articles that you can search through. So if you're looking for education and how to get the most out of the platform, this education module right here, as well as the Deepvue YouTube channel, is your place to go. And if you have any requests for specific articles that you don't see here, you can always go ahead and basically send us a message through support, which you can access right here in the help module. Basically, you want to go ahead and click contact us, report a bug, or you can go ahead and you always email hello@deepvue.com to reach us directly through there. It all goes to the same place. Also here you can go ahead and click the knowledge base. This is another way to read all the different articles. We've got so many different resources here prepared for you, because we know that when you're switching to a new platform or just learning a new platform, it takes time, and we've created a lot of resources to help us smooth that transition and make that experience better. And again, if you don't see an article here that you'd like us to create, go ahead and please reach out to us. So that's general navigation. You can also access your account settings right here. This also turns the platform into dark mode or back to light mode if you'd like to. And we've also got the retake app tour. So if you really want to get started, get an overview, you can go ahead and click this to take that tour there for you. But let's go back to the screener module and talk about getting started in 15 minutes, finding the top market leading stocks, all of that very, very quickly. So first, let's go ahead and focus on the chart and get that set up and usable for all you guys because it's so important to interpret price action. So first things first, I'm going to switch from candlesticks to bars by clicking this icon right here and switching to bars. That's just my personal preference. Definitely up to you if you make that switch. You can also always kind of edit any indicator or function here on the chart by double clicking. That brings up the menu. Here you can go ahead and change the up color to whatever you like. I personally prefer monochrome look. Just helps me focus on how price action is actually building. You can also change the down color, the time zone. I've seen this question come through support quite a bit. How do I change my time zone to match whatever you'd like? You go ahead to your chart settings there. You can do that. Status line allows you to change this up here. You can just do ticker and description, or just description if you'd like. You can also change whether you see these values up here, volume as well. You can add that. And you can also go ahead and add a background there. Scales and lines, I'd highly recommend changing. There's some ANL here that appears by default. You can always change that to invisible. And there's some other features in here that you can go ahead and adjust. Canvas, I personally like to add a top and bottom margin of 10%. That gives a little bit of space here and here. But again, this is all personal preference. I highly recommend you go through all these different settings and make sure they're tuned to how you like to view your charts. In addition to double clicking on the price action, you can always access the chart settings by right clicking on the chart and clicking settings. And you can also go ahead and click this gear icon, and that also brings up the same menu. Also, I want to point out the layout setup. If you'd like to have a multiple time frame setup, say with a daily and weekly, what you want to do is click this up here and then select the different setup that you want to do, whether it's 2 panes side by side, two panes top and bottom, or a different setup here. Maybe you want a daily, weekly, and 65-minute. You can always kind of select exactly what you want here. Down here, I definitely want to highlight this. If you want the same symbol to show in all the different panes, which makes sense if you're looking at different time frames, you want to go ahead and select this sync symbol. You can also sync your crosshair, time, date range, but I think these two are probably the biggest ones that most people will want to sync. So let's go ahead and just show how that's done. Right now we've got 2 dailies. If we want this one to be a weekly chart, let's go ahead and click in here and then change the time frame to 1 week. And now we've got a daily setup here and a weekly here. So if we use spacebar through different stocks, you can see we can now look at a daily chart and weekly chart right next to each other. Super handy, super easy to analyze on multiple time frames, and find the best stocks easier and make sure you're looking at key resistance lines, key formations on multiple time frames. To switch back, you just want to go ahead and click right here, and now we've got just one normal time frame. So with that covered, let's go ahead and just set this up with some key indicators because everybody wants moving averages, volume. So let's go ahead and add that to our charts. To add an indicator, you want to go up here next to where we change to bars, and we want to highlight over indicators and strategies, give that a click. And now you can either search for an indicator or scroll through the hundreds and hundreds of indicators that we have here available for you. All the Deepvue specific indicators, our proprietary indicators, can be found by searching DV. And then you can see now we've got the dozens of indicators that we've created, such as the earnings line, sales line, which by the way, only show up on weekly charts by design. So if you're not seeing it and you add it, make sure you're on a weekly chart. As well as all the other different indicators here. Stage analysis, relative measured volatility. This is a very useful one that I created. Relative measured extension to see if something's extended or not. That's also very, very helpful. But we've got a bunch of presets in here for you. And often we have specific tutorials, articles for each of these indicators. So if you want to know what the market cycle indicator does, go ahead and search that in our knowledge base for to basically access that resource. But we're going to go ahead and add the Deepvue key moving averages indicator. This helps us edit moving averages all at once. So let's go ahead and you can always, if you want to change the moving averages, you can always, again, double click the line to bring up the settings. But if an indicator is in your object tree, which is what shows up right here under this, you can always highlight, hover over that indicator name, then go over to settings. And this allows you to edit the inputs, the styling, as well as the visibility, what timeframes you want this indicator to show up on. So for intraday, 8 and 21 are fine. For daily moving averages, let's change this to a 10 EMA, 21 EMA as well. And let's just do the 200 SMA there. Weekly, 10 and 40, that looks good. So let's go ahead over to style and let's do 2. Let's make this blue. Let's make this one, yeah, let's keep it a purple. And then the 200-day MA7, let's go ahead and make that dark right there. So now we've got our moving averages set up. And if we go to a weekly chart, it automatically switches over to a 10 and 40 week, which is what we have set up right here. So that's super, super useful and just allows you to keep it clean and keep one indicator across multiple time frames, which is very, very helpful. All right, let's go ahead back to indicators and strategies and let's type in volume, if I can spell. And we've got enhanced dollar volume, which shows kind of the volume in terms of dollars. We've also got enhanced volume, which can highlight basically key price signatures. If we go back to a daily chart and go to CRNC, this highlights huge volume and basically pocket pivot volume signatures. So if you want to use enhanced volume, you can. I personally go ahead and let's delete this here. I personally use just the normal volume indicator, but again, it's up to personal preference. And you can see it showed up under the chart, not in its own pane. So if you want to change that, again, go up to the object tree here, click these 3 dots for more, move to, and you can do new pane above. If it's an RS line, you want it above your chart, but we're going to do new pane below, and now it's set up below the chart. And I personally don't like the look of these columns. They're a little bit blocky. So what I like to do is, again, to bring up the settings for any indicator, you want to hover over it, and then click the settings icon here. I personally like to change the style from this kind of this bar chart here to a histogram. And then I'm going to make this black and make this pretty thick and do the same thing for this and make it black. So now instead of big blocks, you've got a little bit more precise. You can line it up with the bars a little bit easier, at least to my eye. So that's how I like to set up my charts. Then let's go ahead and add the relative strength line. Add that to our charts, and you can see it when you first add the RS line, it might not show up correctly, and it might scale the chart and skew it and make it look very, very strange. And the reason being is by default, we're trying to scale everything on your chart all at once, and this will be plotted on the same scale as this. We don't really want that. And to change that, what we want to do is go over to these 3 dots, go to move to, and do new pane above. And now we've got the RS line, price, as well as volume all set up. And by the way, let's go over to settings and make sure our moving average is on. And there we go. And let's go back to Tesla here. And I don't see our moving average, so we're debugging this on the fly. Let's make sure this is checked, and that way we can have that moving average right there. So we've already got the RS line, price and volume all set up, which is great. And now let's go ahead and show you one more thing, which is the relative measured volatility. So let's do relative measured volatility. And this basically just allows you to identify tight price areas really easily. We've got full platform full tutorials on that specifically. I did an extensive webinar, I think it's an hour, 45 minutes only on this. Very, very useful, not only for analyzing charts, but also finding tight areas through the data columns, as I'll show later on. But let's go ahead and clean that up and just keep it RS line, moving averages and volume, which is probably what most of you guys want set up. So there we go. We're already set up with our chart. We can also toggle on the earnings and sales below the chart by going up here to the stats table, giving this a click, and you can see the quarterly values right here. You can also drag this back and forth to see more or less estimates if you'd like to, and you can hover over any of these to see the reported value, the estimate, the surprise, whether it's positive or negative, both in terms of percentage as well as dollar amounts. And this is really cool because this is really what drives earnings gaps, and being able to see this knowledge is super cool to see that surprise very easily as you scroll through. And you might notice that in some quarters, it'll be highlighted either with a pink bar underneath or a blue bar. That is basically highlighting acceleration or deceleration in the growth. So here we're going from minus 37% to minus 40%. We're accelerating negatively or decelerating, and then it goes to minus 47%. So you see this trend, and we want to highlight that trend because often this is what leads to pullbacks, longer term corrections is deceleration. While if we have let's do app, I think this has an acceleration trend. So right here, during this massive run from November 2023, November 2023, you can see we highlight it with a blue underneath here. And this is what drives sustained strong moves just like that, is acceleration in the earnings and sales. NVIDIA is another good example for all these quarters. And let's scroll back here. You saw acceleration for 4 quarters. When you see that trend, that's what drives big moves like we saw from early 2023 all the way through 2024. And then you can see growth slow down a little bit, even though it's still triple digits. So this is just a cool highlighted feature that just helps point out those distinct trends. So that is the stats table. Again, you can go over to the estimates. You can see this arrow is pointed upwards when estimate revisions most recently are up. And you can see many quarters off into the future in terms of earnings growth as well as revenue growth. And we'll be adding margins a lot more to this in the coming year, which will be super, super cool. So that is the stats table. I also want to highlight the data table. If we think about the data columns, where you've got a list of a lot of stocks and you can see a lot of data for a lot of stocks right here, the data table is your ideal setup for looking at the data points related to the specific stock that you're looking at the chart. So all this data points is only related to Tesla. If we go to Reddit, this changes and everything's related to Reddit only. Here you see all this data. Here this is very specific to the actual stock that you have selected right here in your data columns. So this, like everything in Deepvue, and this is again one of our core philosophies, is fully editable. You can add different categories. I've got a company data category. I've got an EPS quarterly growth category. I've got a sales quarterly category. So if we bring back Tesla, you don't even have to have the stats table up. You can just see the growth vertically if you'd like to. We also have the sales rating, EPS rating here if you'd like to see that. And again, this is fully editable. You can change the categories. You can change what actual data points are in them. And to edit it, what you want to do is click this gear icon right here. You can select which group you're going to add a data point to by clicking this drop down menu. And then you can search for a data point, let's say relative volume. Somebody asked about relative volume. You go ahead and add that to your company info, or actually let's go ahead and add that to EPS quarterly growth. Check that box and you can see it's added right away by default right there. You can drag and drop to reorganize within a category, and you can always X something out or uncheck really easy. So it's super nice and easy to basically create this. And we also have many presets for you. So you might see this is Richard Moglen's main panel. This is a preset that you can find by clicking this drop down menu, going over to data panel presets, going to top traders, and you can go ahead and find my main panel right here. So this is the one I use every single day as I'm trading. You can go ahead and load that in one click. So if you don't want to create your own, I basically have, the most important data points to me, the market cap, the industry. I can see the top 10 stocks within that industry right here. These are also clickable, which is super cool. So if you want to quickly look through a group, you can go ahead and do that like right there. I've got the industry rank on a one-day basis. You can see it's 1 out of 75. Automobiles was the leading group yesterday. Of course, Tesla rallied super strongly. If we bring up that chart, nice action. You got the industry strength over the 1 week, 1 month, 3 month, the absolute strength rating. This is kind of the unweighted relative strength rating over 1 month, 3 months. The website, which is clickable. You can always research a company like that, shares and float. So you can see the most important data points for me in my process, as well as earnings and sales, annual growth, as well as some technical indicators, daily closing range and weekly closing range, and price versus the 10 and 21 day moving averages. So if you want to get started quickly with a preset, you can go ahead and check this one out, as well as we have some created for Stan Weinstein, which shows the stage analysis stages. We've also got some for the methodology of Mark Minervini. So whatever you kind of want to go for, you can go ahead and check it out. We've got Oliver Kell, and we'll always be adding presets for this. Again, we've got presets for screens, data panels, data columns, all of that. And we want to make it as easy as possible to just get going. So you can always go to data panel presets and go to top traders and get started with one of these presets right there. All right, I want to pause for a second and see if there's any key questions here that I want to answer. How do you pull up that data panel? You went too fast. So to bring up the stats table, you want to go up here to stats table to click that. That brings up the earnings and sales below the chart. You can also close it by deselecting it. And the data panel is right next to it. So that brings that out, loads it, and you can also hide it if you just want to focus on the chart. Alberto asks, will company guidance be added to the stats? Yeah, we plan to go ahead and expand this hover note and basically expand what it shows. So if you have any suggestions about what to put in that, please let us know. We definitely want to make sure, again, this can be customized and tailored to what you guys would like. Okay. Yeah, let's keep going for now. I just want to wrap up the data columns here that kind of sums up both the screener and watch list key functionality. So as I mentioned, the data panel is kind of the stock specific data points. While if we go to the data columns and we can drag this to show more of them, this is kind of useful for going through your watch list, looking at a lot of data points all at once. And it also helps you go ahead and sort through the results of a screen or sort through a larger watch list, because all of these data columns can be sorted by. So if you want to sort by percent change today, you can go ahead and do that and see the stocks that were up the most today. If you want to go ahead and sort by the absolute strength rating on a 1 month basis, you can go ahead and sort by that and see the strongest stocks right there, QMCO right at the top there. So all these data columns are sortable, and you can sort within a sort. So if you want to go ahead and look at a top-down view of stocks, you can sort by industry, and now all the different groups are sorted together. You can see all the biotechs are together, and then you could sort within that by, say, the percent change today column. And now if we take a look at the biotech groups here, they're still all together, but within that group, it's now sorted from highest to lowest in terms of price percent change today. And any column, if you want to sort from highest to lowest, you just want to click it once. Lowest to highest, you click it one more time, and then you can clear the sort of that column by clicking it one more time. You can also clear any sorting you have at any time by going over here to this, hover over it. You can see it says clear sorting. You can go ahead and click that, and now you're back to just basic alphabetical sorting, which is the default. So again, if you say sorted by the last price, if you want to clear that sorting, you can go ahead and click that icon there. And if you say do percent change today, if you want highest to lowest, you can click it once. If you do it one more time, now it's lowest to highest. And if you do it one more time, it just clears the sorting automatically. To edit the data columns that you have here, this is kind of my favorite set. You want to go up here to column settings, give that a click, and select the data column set you want to edit. I personally edit the recommended, which is kind of what any new screen you create is started with and is kind of your default. So I'd go ahead and recommend editing this one. And you can go ahead, very similar to how we added data points to your data panel. You can either search for, let's say, EPS data point. You could add any of these, or you can also go through the different folders. And if you want to add the sector to your data column set, you can go ahead and check that box. It's automatically added at the top here, as well as right here in real time there. You can drag and drop this to reorganize the data columns. You can see it's now dragged over here. And if you'd like to basically close out any of these data points, you can go ahead and click this X right there. So that's how you edit your data column set. Again, we've got some presets here for you. I'll be adding, I still need to do this. I'll be adding my favorite setup here to these presets. It'll be under top traders. And we also have pre-made ones for pre-market and post-market to actually load those data points. So if you go ahead and do this one right here, This loads post-market data points, so post-market percent change. This is how you find earnings gappers after the close. And we've also got pre-market. So if you want to look for gappers before the open, this is the data column set that you want to load. Deepvue will remember the last data column set that you link with a particular screen or watch list. So in order to change that, so if you want Deepvue, Deepvue leaders here to be linked with your recommended set, you want to go back, click this gear icon, click this drop-down menu, go to saved column sets, and go back to your recommended. So that way it loads back that, and this will be linked to Deepvue leaders until you go ahead and change that. So I want to pause here to see if there's any questions based on sorting and data column sets here. Charts are updated in real time throughout the day, by the way. This is real-time data. Let's see here. What's the difference between absolute strength versus relative strength? Relative strength is weighted. So the most recent month might be weighted higher, while the 12-month price percent change will be weighted less. Versus absolute strength is just weighting everything evenly. So they'll be very similar and show very similar results. I personally favor a unweighted version, especially for 3-month and 1 month. By 12-month, it's pretty similar. Yep. Okay. Thanks, Mike. All right. Can you switch the percent change 1 day to 1 week? Absolutely. So let's go ahead and use that as an example to add this data column. So let's go ahead over to this. Let's do price percent change. You can see we've got all these options, both in dollar amounts as well as percentages. And we've got all these different price percent change data points. So if you want 5 days, you can use that one. If you want 1 week, you can go ahead and search. Where did 1 week go? There we go. We've got current week as well as from weeks open, depending on what you'd want. But let's go ahead and do the 5 days data point. It brings you right to that. And let's go ahead and check that. And now you've got that data column right there for you. Let's also show how to add that to your data panel. So let's go ahead and say you want to add that data point to your technical column right here, or category. Let's go ahead and edit. Let's select technical and then price percent change 5 days. Let's check that box. And now it's added right there. We could move that to the top. And now if we X that out, you can see it's saved automatically. And now we've got the price percent change 5 day right here as well. So that's how to add a data point to either your data column set as well as your data panel right over there. Good question. All right. And to get to presets, thanks for the reminder, Joan. To get to presets for data panel, you want to go up here to where it has a current name of the data panel you have loaded. Click the drop-down menu. You might be on Save Data Panels initially, which is where your data panels will be saved. But you can go over to Data Panel Presets, and mine is under Top Traders, which you can hover over, and you can find mine main panel right here. So that's how you get to Data Panel Presets. All right. Let's see. All right. So there's a question from Stephanie. Do the preset screens use the traders' moving averages that they prefer? You'll have to change the moving averages if you want. Say, Oliver Kelly uses the 10 and 20 EMAs. If you want to use his moving averages, you'll have to change that on the chart when you load whatever screen you want of his. So those don't change automatically. It's dependent on what you want right there and then. All right. Keith asks, is there a browser that works best with DV? I would always recommend Chrome. It's the most optimized, best browser out there for Deepvue. That's the best way to go. All right. Somebody asks, how do you call upon a ticker without going to the left top panel? You can always just go ahead and type and just start typing, and you can go ahead and type the whole thing. or you can go ahead and click that right there. The global search will pop up. So again, you can just start typing. Let's say we want NVIDIA. Go ahead and type that in, and it will load that up. And you can see it erases your watch list because right now you're focused on NVIDIA. If you want to go back to the screen you were looking at, you want to go ahead and click this X right here, and that will clear out that search and bring you back to the watch list or screen that you're on. Nice question. All right. So now that we've covered kind of this initial setup and the overall data columns and chart, I want to highlight the screens. That's kind of the last step of getting started quickly in Deepvue. So again, just like data panels, we have a lot of presets for you, both ones that are under the Deepvue folder where we've got Deepvue Leaders and Deepvue Universe, which are kind of like your growth stock universe screens, which will have the highest momentum, highest growth names. So if you're looking for one screen to do it all, I'd highly recommend the Deepvue Leaders screen. And Deepvue Universe is a little bit more forgiving, and it lets in a little bit more stocks. We've also got Stage Analysis Leaders, which is another really good universal screen, as well as Liquid Leaders. But if you're looking for our top trader screen presets, which are pretty popular and really good as well, these are, with traders we worked with, brought their screens into Deepvue. We've got stuff from Matt Caruso, Mark Minervini, his trend templates, Stan Weinstein, Christian Kwalamagi, his episodic pivot screens. We've got Oliver Kell's screens in here, gappers, doublers, all of that. Mike Webster screens, Pretty Bonde screens in here, which are super cool. Dan Zanger. So if you're looking to just kind of get started right away, I recommend checking out the top trader screens right here. And if you're looking for kind of one screen to kind of do it all, I'd highly recommend the Deepvue Leader screen, which will show the strongest stocks, and then you can go ahead in your data column set, sort by absolute strength 3 month, and this will show a lot of the fastest movers: Reddit, ALAB, RKLB, BE, RBRK, MSTR. This will be where the true market leaders show up. That's what this screen is designed to catch. But again, to access the preset screens, what you want to do is click this drop down menu, go over to screener presets, and then you can navigate through the different folders that you would like to. The top trader screens are in this one. We also have pre-made pre and post market screens. So if you're looking for, say, pre-market movers and gap ups, let's bring up that screen. And then you could sort by, and let's actually change this data column set to my pre-market columns. This is kind of what I use to look at pre-market screens. And say in the morning before the bell, you can go ahead and sort by this to find basically the top movers of the day, the top gappers. CRNC showed up on this screen before it made this huge move. So this is how you kind of find episodic pivots in pre-market. You can look at pre-market percent change, the volume versus normal 50-day, and you can see huge volume, huge mover, and that can be a candidate for an episodic pivot just like that. And then if we go back to Deepvue Leader screen, you can see this is still linked with my recommended data column set. So that's how you find your preset screens right here. And if you want to create a new screen, well, actually, let me pause there for just a second and see if there's any questions. What's the difference between a watch list and a screen? A screen is basically, it brings up this list of stocks based on conditions that you set and need to be fulfilled for that stock to show up on that screen. So you could screen for stocks above the 50-day moving average as a simple example, and it'll show all the stocks above the 50-day moving average in the results. A watch list is a curated list of stocks that you yourself create. So if you go to new watch list, let's do test Jan 2024, save. Now you can go ahead and add different stocks that you would like to. NVIDIA, add that, all that, and then click add. And now they're in this curated watch list for you that you have named right here and stored. So that's the difference between a screen and a watch list. And if you're already in a watch list and want to, that's pretty much how you do that, is to create a new watch list. And you can add those symbols just like that. All right. Hi, Richard. How do you take the symbols for a screener and save it as a watch list? Great question, Albert. So say if we were going through our weekly routine and want to add SOUN and as well as app to that watch list we just created, you want to go ahead and check them right here on the left-hand side. And then you can see that these icons pop up when you have anything checked. So we can go ahead and hover over this. It says add symbols to watch list. We can see our test Jan 2024. Click that. And now if we go back to our watchlist module, those stocks are now in that watchlist we just created. So that's how we go from a screen, check the ones that we want to add to, say, our daily focus list or weekly focus list, and then click add symbols to watch list and select the different watch lists that we want to add it to. You can also create a new watch list from this tab, as well as just copy the symbols. Say if you want to select these names, share them on Twitter, that's how you go ahead and copy symbols to their clipboard to use somewhere else if you'd like to. Yep, no problem. Good question. While Kumar asks, I need your help. My Deepvue leaders column set is different even though I've selected recommended column setting. Not sure how I'll get the one you have it. Your recommended column set is different than the custom one I've created. I will be adding my data column set to these presets here under top traders. You'll see that later today. But right now, your recommended column set is the recommended that we start out for everybody. And you'd have to alter it to match mine if you'd like to. These are the columns that I use, but I'll be adding mine as a preset if you'd like to later today. All right. Can you apply a screen to a watch list? A good question, Paul. We'll be adding that functionality very shortly. Our developers just came back from vacation. They're working on that now, and it should be in the platform pretty darn soon. All right. Let's see here. Donald asks, can you go over the top of your chart? You have multiple screens showing, and how do you have multiple time frames showing above the charts to pick from? So I'm not sure about the last question, but these screens right here are my bookmark screens. So these are the ones I use the most: Deepvue leaders, liquid leaders, power and tight, a 21 EMA pullback, all that. These are the ones I want quick access to. And in order to add them to the top here, what I've done is in this drop-down menu where you can find all your screens as well as the presets, I've gone ahead and click this bookmark, and now you can see it shows up right here. You can unbookmark it just like that, and it'll go away. You can also, say you want a preset screen as a bookmark, you can go ahead and bookmark that right there, and you can see it shows right here. So this is available both for screens as well as if you go to the watch list tab. These are the only ones I have bookmarked, but you can always go ahead and add another one up here. So there's a really nice handy functionality to quickly go between the different lists as well as different screens up here. Do you have S&P lists, XLC, XLU, etc., so I can easily scroll during the day or need to set that up? Yeah, very good question. So there's a couple ways to do this. First, you could create a screen and then under the conditions, if I just do test, if I go to general and let's see, exchange, you could add exchange here. You could also do markets. So you could use the S&P 500 here, and let's just do this here and save screen and do SP. And you could easily just go through all the stocks in the S&P 500 that way. An easier way, instead of having to create a whole new screen, and let's select the Deepvue leader screen here, is you could type in XLC for the ETF. And then there's a really cool feature in Deepvue for any ETF that appears in a screen, in a watch list, whatever, you'll see an H next to it right here, and the H stands for holdings. If you click that H, it automatically loads up the holdings that show up in that basically ETF. So you can go through all the names like that. So if we go ahead and type in SPY for Spider and click that H, it loads all the holdings of that ETF, and then you can sort by however you'd like and go through all the names in that ETF just like that. To X out of this and go back to where you're just seeing SPY, you can go ahead and click this X, and that clears the sort, and you're back to the default view right then and there. So again, if we say do TAN and click that H, then you've got all the US companies that show up in that ETF. The first column is the percentage holdings, which is super nice and easy to see as well. And that's a really useful functionality, that holdings feature that we have in the platform. So good question about that. Thank you very much. All right. All right. The highlight tabs I referred to are the bookmark screens above. Yeah, so I just showed that functionality. Mike, you probably might have just missed it, but you can always click this bookmark to bookmark these screens up here if you didn't see that already, but I think I answered that question already. Nice. Okay. So before we move on to dashboard, I do want to show how to create a new screen in Deepvue because I know a lot of you want to create your own customized screens. So first things first, if you have a screen preset that is pretty close to what you want, let's say you want that you like the Ted Zhang high momentum, but when you go to the filters, which you can always access by clicking the edit filter button, and this will pop out here. When you go to the filters, you want to say use the 50-day average dollar volume instead of the 20-day. You can always kind of use any of our presets as a foundation, as a starting point. So if we go over here, go over to top traders, and say you want to use the high momentum as your starting point, you can click these three dots right here, and then go ahead and click duplicate. This creates your own copy of the preset, and then you can go ahead and click save. And now I've already got a copy here, so let's go ahead and name it something else. Copy 2025. There we go. So now instead of the preset, I have my own copy created. And if I go to edit filters, which is what you use to edit any of the data points you want, now all of these data points are clickable. And now I can go through and say, instead of the 20-day, let's do the 50-day and have that be 20 million instead of 5 million for the 20-day. And let's X this out right there. So right then and there, in just a few easy steps, I've tweaked that preset and now created my own version of it that I would want to use more. So that's how you go ahead and use a screen preset as kind of the initial starting point for your own custom screen. And let's go ahead and save changes. If you want to make your own screens from scratch, let's go ahead and talk through how to do that. So let's go ahead and click new screen, which is how you create a new screen. And let's say we want to, just like we said, have stocks above the 50-day moving average. Let's go ahead and create that screen. But first, I want to think about what stocks I want to filter out as well. I don't want low price stocks. I want pretty liquid stocks. So let's go ahead and do do price. And let's do daily. And I want to make sure that the stock is over, let's say, $20 a share. So let's go ahead and add that condition, and you can see all the filters that you've already applied will show up here. And let's also do dollar volume and 20-day to make sure it's pretty liquid. So this expresses the volume in terms of dollars instead of just kind of raw shares, which gives you a good sense of liquidity as well. And let's make sure this is over 30 million. So let's add that. So now we're down to only 1,400 results from over 11,000, I believe. So already we're doing pretty darn good. Now let's go ahead and add that requirement to say, hey, we want stocks over the 50-day moving average. So you can either type in here price versus EMA or SMA, or you can go to price and volume and look through the different conditions here. Again, we've got hundreds of data points here, and this is the data point we want, price versus SMA, EMA. So let's change from 5-day moving average using the drop down to 50-day, and soon you'll be able to fully customize this. If you want the 48 moving average, you'll be able to add that. And since we're using the SMA and 50-day, looking down here, we've got kind of three different options for conditions. We could either say greater, less than, or a range. So a range would give you stocks around the 50-day moving average. If you did this -2 to +2, it'd be pretty close to the 50-day. But let's do greater than the 50-day moving average and greater than 0% above the 50-day. So that will give us all the stocks between 0% and 100% or infinity percent above the 50-day moving average. So let's go ahead and add that. And this is what we want. And actually, let's restrict it to stocks. So right now it's showing some, I think this is a double leverage NVIDIA ETF or whatever. Let's go up to general. And I think it's type, and only include ADRs or common stock. And there we go. Let's click save screen. Above, oh, can't type, above 50-day. You could select a folder if you'd like to. Also add a description, stocks above the 50-day. Click save. Oh, that's already used. So copy. And now all of these stocks are above their 50-day moving averages. And we actually don't have the 50 days, so let's go ahead and click this. Inputs, 50-day, and there we go. These are all stocks that are above their 50-day moving averages, as you can see, compared to the orange line. So that's how you create a basic screen. Now, where Deepvue gets really cool, and this is more for the advanced users out there, is we have this advanced logic functionality called an OR group, which you can add right here. And before I show how to do it, I just want to explain the thinking behind this. So a lot of people, often have screens that are very similar except for one condition. A lot of people have screens in other platforms that look for earnings growth, and then another one that looks for sales growth, but everything else is pretty much the same. With Deepvue, what you can do is have an OR group, which allows you to put in data points like earnings growth and sales growth, and have a stock, if it meets either of those conditions, whatever it is regarding earnings growth over 40%, sales growth over 40%, if it just meets one of those conditions, the stock will pass through the screen. So it basically allows you to combine different screens together, get a lot more fancy with looking at exactly what you want. Say from a technical perspective, you want to show stocks that had an inside day or daily closing range above 70%, or an oops reversal. You can do that with an OR group. You don't have to create separate screens that one looks for oops reversal, one looks for inside day, and then it takes a lot of time to kind of go through all those screens one by one. Instead, you can combine everything into one in Deepvue. So let's go ahead and add an OR group. And you can see it's kind of in a layer. So if you can think of group one as your first layer, and all of these conditions must be true for a stock to make it through this layer, because this is an AND group. But this second group is purple because it's an OR group. And any filter that you add in here, only one of them must be true for a stock to make it through this layer and make it into the results list. So let's go ahead and X out the 50-day moving average requirement. And now we've just kind of basic price and volume here. And then to add filters to this group, we want to click within it. And then let's do EPS growth. I really can't type here today. Let's do quarterly. It'll bring us right to latest quarter. Let's say greater than 30%. So right now we only have one data point in this OR group. And only one data point within an OR group must be true for a stock to pass through that layer. But if you think about it, because we only have one data point in this still must be true, this data point. But if we also add sales reported growth quarterly greater than 30% as again, now you can see the number of results increased, because even if a stock doesn't have EPS growth greater than 30%, if it does have sales growth greater than 30%, it will still meet all these conditions for the OR group. And if it meets these ones right here, these filters up here, it will then pass through the screen. So this allows you to combine multiple criteria into one screen. And let's actually do the technical example that I said before. So let's go ahead and type, or actually let's go down to technicals. And we have a lot of technical patterns here, as well as open, high, low, close comparisons. So you can really get fancy with looking for entry tactic and short-term patterns. But let's say we want inside days, and let's do yes. So there's 223 inside days. So if we save the screen and go through the results, these are all now inside days where all the price action is contained within here. And this is true for all the stocks that show up on this list. But we don't just want to look for inside days. We also like to see if there's an oops reversal that day, which might not be an inside day, but it's still kind of a short-term entry tactic that we can use. So again, we'll go to technicals down here, and let's do oops reversal right here, and then do yes. Now we can see the number of results increased. Now all the results that show up on this will be an oops reversal or an inside day. And let me try to find an oops reversal if there is one. You'll have to take my word for it. There's oops reversals in this list as well. But the key thing is here is that we're not only restricting us to inside days now, we can also have oops reversals as that other filter to find short-term entry tactics. So that's the usefulness of an OR group, is only one of these conditions must be true. And we could add, open equals high in here as well. And you can see I added to the first group, which isn't what I want to do. So let's X out here, click within group 2, and let's add here. Let's also do, inside week. Let's add that as well. So you can add many different criteria, and then only one of these must be true within an OR group for the stock to show up on this list. So this allows you to get really fancy with different screens. You can also add multiple OR groups in series. And within each of these, only one condition must be true for the stock to pass through that layer. But between groups, between group 1, group 2, group 3, a group, however many groups you have, all those are ANDed together. So each layer must be true for a stock to show up. So this layer must be true, this layer must be true, this layer must be true, this layer must be true. So you want to think about it that way, that they're ANDed together, all these different groups. All right, I want to pause here because I know this is very powerful, but it can also be complicated the first time you hear about it. So let me see if there's any questions here. All right. How do you get to the OR group screen? You want to go ahead and click this button down here, and this adds an OR group there for you, Jer. All right. Cool. All right, I'm not seeing too many questions on this. Hopefully, this makes it clear. We also have specific tutorials on screening and using this and/or functionality. It's definitely a bit complicated if you're not used to thinking that way. There's probably computer sciences out there that this makes perfect sense to. But we've got specific resources there for you if you need a little bit more of a refresher on this. You'll also be able to rewatch this as many times as you want once the recording is posted. Can you do a screen for outside bar or bullish engulfing? Yes, it's within these technical patterns. We've got all these inside weeks, outside bullish day, outside bearish day, week in the wick, upside reversal, pocket pivots, 3 weeks tight, 5 weeks up, power of 3. So we've got a lot of different short-term entry tactics that you can use, specifically designed for can slim, growth stock, momentum style trading. So definitely check these out. It's the technical pattern data point that you can find under technicals. That's where you can find this. We've also got different candlestick patterns. You can see all these right here. So there's a lot of different things to investigate and see if it adds to your process. We've also got Stan Weinstein stages. So if you want to add a requirement to group 1 that you want it to be a Stan Weinstein stage 2 or 2A, you can add that requirement right then and there. Super easy to do. And this is based off our extensive discussions with Stan, discussing exactly what he looks for in terms of moving averages, duration, to identify these different stages. And this isn't anywhere else. This is only can be found in Deepvue. So that's how you create a screen in Deepvue. So again, I want to pause here to see if there's any questions related to screening specifically here. All right. Jared asks, can you reverse the process by picking a stock and then seeing which technicals match with it at that time? We're thinking about doing something like that, but the thing is that if you're bringing up NVIDIA, there's infinite number of screens that can show NVIDIA as a result. But what we do want to do is kind of reverse engineer. If you like this chart, bring me charts like that, and we're working on that project, which will be super cool. Let's see here. To delete a chart in settings, you can just go ahead and hover over any indicator and delete it if you'd like to. I saw a question about adding the RS line to the top here. Again, if, for instance, it's in this pane here, what you want to do is hover over that indicator in your object tree, click the 3 dots, click Move To, and then New Pane Above, and that will show it on the new pane above, just like that. Can you go over how to find a holding of an ETF again? Sure thing. So if we want the QQQ, type in that ETF, so whatever ETF you want, and then click the H next to it, and that will load the holdings with all your data columns, as well as the percentage holdings over here in your first column automatically. And then to get out of it, you can go ahead and X just like that. So this can really speed up top-down analysis really nicely. All right. Can you save different chart layouts? Yes. So up here, you could see that I've got different presets that I've created. So this is the Guppy charts. I've got my daily standard template here. I've got my weekly standard with the key moving averages. So if you want different kind of views to be saved, what you want to do is create them. So say you really like this view and want it saved as your weekly. What you want to do is go over to the icon next to indicators and strategies, go to indicator templates, click that, click save indicator template, and then we'll name this weekly 2025. And if you want it to remember the time frame you're on, so actually right now, let's cancel, go to a weekly chart. Let's go and save indicator again, weekly. I know I misspelled that, but we'll just have to live with it. If you wanted to save the time interval you're on, you want to click this right here. It will show the indicators that you have loaded, and then we'll go ahead and click save. And now, even if you go to a completely different template, if you go back to your indicator templates and find the one you just saved, you can in one click load that up with all the different indicators set up how you'd like, and it's saved there right there for you. You can also, as I have, favorite different templates. So if you add this to the favorites, now it's easily accessible here. So again, if you're in another indicator template, you can easily load that up in one click, and you can hover over these and see what they're called. These are intraday ones, and then I've got my weekly and daily set up over there. So that's how you save multiple different layouts. I saw a question about anchored VWAP. So what you want to do is go over to your drawing tools, and then I always forget exactly where it is. Let's see, and maybe somebody can help me out. I forget exactly what category the anchored VWAP is in. There we go. So it's under projection. Right here, you can click that to then load and add it to however you'd want. You just basically click the bar, and within this, you can always favorite that drawing tool, and then you can see in my favorite drawing tool right now, you can always quickly select anchor VWAP just like that and add however many you want. I've also got trend lines saved here, as well as the ones that I use the most, I've got saved as my favorites. So that's how you access anchor VWAP as well as your favorite drawing tools. I saw a question about annotating charts. I like the call out tool, which you can find down here, right here under text and notes. And this allows you to click and annotate charts however you'd like. And you can double click this to adjust the font size, change the coordinates, visibility, all of that. So you can always customize anything you'd like. And let's make this a little bit smaller. There you go. So that's how you annotate your charts. All right. Yes, this recording will be posted. Will be posted later on our YouTube channel. Yeah, thanks Keith for sharing that on Oops Reversals. Appreciate it. All right. And if you have, a chart that you'd like to share or like to save, you can always go ahead and share it to X real easily by clicking this button right here. You can also export there. You can share to X. It will share a screenshot. You want to go ahead and link your Twitter account first. The first time you do this, it will prompt you to do that. But you can go ahead and add a tweet message. And I'm just going to say tutorial 2025. And just like that, it's posted to Twitter and shared with anybody you follow or who follows you. So that's a really nice handy way to save a chart. You can also just use a snipping tool to screenshot all of this and save it however you'd like onto your computer. All right. All right. Okay. Harold, I saw your question about, over 90 for the past 21 days. We'll be adding functionality like that very shortly with the formula builder. We'll also be looking, if you're looking for gaps, we'll be able to search for gaps within the past 5 days to show you all of those. So we'll be adding that functionality as well. That's a big improvement, big new feature that's going to be coming pretty soon in 2025. So good question here. All right. So we covered a lot of the core functionality. Let's now take it a step further and go over to the dashboard. And let's go over here. So just high level, what the dashboard is basically, and let's create a new dashboard and name it Tutorial 2025. Let's click Save. What the dashboard is a blank canvas that allows you to set up your ideal trading layout suited for a specific purpose. You always want to have a purpose in mind when you're creating a new dashboard. And it allows you to use all the apps that we've kind of been using in the screener, the watch list, the chart element, all of that, the stats table, data panel. It allows you to move those however you'd want and orient them however you'd like. So let's go ahead and show you exactly how to do it. So to create a new dashboard, we clicked New Dashboard. Let's now add some apps. So you can see clicking that adds all the apps that you have available. We will be adding more of these as we go as well. And all of these you want to basically click and drag to orient them on this grid. And you could add a screen, a watch list, a data panel, all of that. You can see there's just an error message that popped up, and that's because there's not enough space to add this data panel. So what we have to do is click and drag using the corners. And let's even make more space here. So now you can see we're able to add a data panel into this dashboard. And basically you can resize using the corners. And then let's move this over here. And actually, let's go ahead and move it to the left-hand side. So let's move this here, this right there, and let's move this now to the left-hand side. And let's make the screen bigger. So again, I'm just using the corners to resize and reorient these. So you click and drag in the top left to really resize it. Let's go ahead and move this over here. And now what we've got, if we think about it, is our data panel now on the left, our screen right here on in the middle here, and we've got a watchlist app and a screener app. So let's go ahead and choose TradeLab Stocks 1120 to load as this watchlist. So again, all this connects to whatever chart and whatever element you have. And then for the screen, let's go over to Deepvue and Deepvue leaders. So now we've got a watch list that's quickly accessible, a screen that updates in real time that's quickly accessible, and all of these are connected so you can load the chart just like that by clicking through them, as well as the data panel updates. So if you prefer this orientation, you can go ahead and add your data panel here with earnings and sales data, whatever you'd like, whatever data point you'd like, the chart, and then a watch list, 3 watch lists, a screen watch list, whatever you'd like to add, you can go ahead and select over here on the left-hand side. All right. And one thing I want to highlight is right now, all of these are linked to group 1. But let's say you have 2 charts. So let's actually go ahead and add this. Let's go ahead and add it in another chart. Make that bigger. And let's make this chart and watch list link together. And then let's change this to group 2 and this chart to group 2. Now, if we click this, only this top chart is changing because this is both group 1. The data panel is also group 1. But if we click this, only this bottom chart is changing because only things in the same group will be linked together. If we change this to group 2, now as I click through here, this also changes as well. So this allows you to get really fancy, create many different customized dashboards with many different charts, watch list, screeners, whatever you'd like to add, and have them all linked together properly. So this is super cool and really handy to create your own ideal dashboard. Let's X out of the apps for just a second. Now, how do we get that menu back if we want to make a change and maybe add in a watch list over here? To add in an app menu or add in a new app, you want to click this icon next to new dashboard, and then make sure there's enough space to add that element. And then you can drag another chart, screen, watch list, whatever you'd like. So again, you can get really fancy. We've seen some really cool custom setups here in dashboard. So definitely, if you make a cool dashboard and want to show us, definitely tweet at me on Twitter, and that'd be super cool to see all the things that you guys can create. But If you don't want to create your own dashboards and spend time, getting really customized, again, just like screens, data panels, all that, we have dashboard presets for you. So let's go ahead and do group ranks. So this allows you to see the different industries, groups, and sub-industries in terms of their 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, and 3 month ranks. So you can see yesterday, automobiles was ranked number 1, construction engineering number 2. You can see the number of stocks here loaded as well. And over a 1 week basis, excuse me, energy was number 2. This is all scrollable, so you can see the full list right there. So this is just a preset dashboard that allows you to track the different rankings for different industries. If we also load up, let's say, trading execution, this allows you to have multiple watch lists together, edit them. And again, to edit them, you want to go over to the preset. And let's say you want to edit this. You want to go ahead and click the 3 dots, click duplicate to create your own version, and then you go ahead and edit that one. Let's do 2 data panel dashboard. This allows you to have a top data panel as well as a side data panel, as well as a screen and watch list. So again, this allows you to get really fancy with how you're creating all these different custom dashboards. And I'll go through kind of my favorite ones in just a minute here. All right. All right. To compare different symbols, you want to click this right here, compare to add symbol. So let's say we want to add SPY. Oh, I really can't spell today. SPY. And should be coming up. So let's do new pane. So now we've got the SPY plotted here versus Microsoft. So that's how you compare symbols really easily. You could also, let's go ahead and X this out. You could also just do 2 panes, but not link symbol. And then in this one, type in SPY. And now you've got Microsoft versus SPY with all your indicators there for you. So that's how you compare different symbols. Yeah, so in terms of pre-market presets, actually what I do is I've got this earning zone preset. So this is automatically set up for you to analyze pre and post-market gaps. So actually this one is post-market gap ups. Oh, this is for gap ups and gap downs post-market. So this is already set up with preset screens, but you could easily set up for pre-market as well to see what's moving in before the bell. All right. John, in the groups within the preset dashboard, are the sectors able to display all the stocks within that group? So in the dashboard, you're not allowed to. So let's go ahead and load back that dashboard. Right now, these are clickable, but not in the dashboard. And the reason being is you don't have a watch list here showing to show all those stocks. But if we go back to the screener or watch list and open up the data panel, and let's go ahead and make this a single pane again. And let's refresh here. Load that. You can see I've got the ranks right here. And if you click an industry, it will load this, just kind of like the ETFs. So you can click any of these different things here. You can also click the number of stocks. These are basically clickable in the screener and watch list to load the stocks within that particular industry or sector or whatever data point you have here, depending on it. You can load those just by clicking and quickly spacebar through that. So that's a really handy way, again, of doing top-down analysis by using these groups. Automobiles was ranked number 1. Let's go ahead and sort from percent from the open. You can see Rivian had the strongest action that day. So that's a quick way to do top-down analysis to find the strongest stocks within the strongest groups. It's a really good question. All right. Are there any preset watch lists with stocks that are of interest at the moment to Deepvue team members? We don't have preset watch lists for that, but personally what I do is load the Deepvue leader screen, and then to find the leaders, I would simply sort by absolute strength 1 month, and that would be the leading stocks. Then if I want to find tight stocks that are potentially actionable, I'd sort by RMV, which is relative measure volatility from lowest to highest, and then I'd go through from tightest to lowest. AVGO creating a range, QMZO creating a tight range here as well. So that's how I find my setups every day. That's my weekly routine. I sort by RMV and try to find stocks that are tight near a otherwise important key level, like a base pivot, a moving average, the 21 EMA. This is tight right on the 10 EMA. That's why I'm watching this one and adding it to my watch list. But that's basically, how I, find my ideas and do my daily routine in Deepvue. There's not too many tight stocks right now because everything moved Friday and Thursday. But that's how I found Reddit. If you go ahead and bring this up, and this I bought Friday, it formed a tight area shown by RMV right here, right on the 21 EMA. And then I bought it that morning to ride that breakout. I also added right here on my original position on this tight area breakout. So that's how I find those VCP tight area setups. And I did a full tutorial on VCPs and RMV, which I highly recommend you guys check it out. Maybe somebody could link that in the chat right there. All right. And I see a lot of kind of suggestions and features we'd like to add. Please request them through the help module. So if we go down to help, roadmap, you can see what we're working on right now. Journal is top of mind right now. We'll be adding a full-fledged analytics of your trades here. Alerts, multi-monitor support. I saw a lot of questions for that. We're working on all these right now. And then to request a feature, you just go ahead and click request a feature. And then you want to fill out as much information as you can. You can add a screenshot, record your screen if you'd like. But that's how you request a feature and also see the roadmap and what we're taking a look at right now and working on actively. So I recommend you do that. I saw a lot of great ideas in the chat. Please go ahead and use the feature request feature to get those into the pipeline. So the last thing I wanted to do was just kind of show my dashboards and kind of what I've created and how I use them. So these are the ones I go through, every single day. This is my market monitor dashboard where I analyze the QQQ. I've got the QQQ here, volume, Deepvue, net new highs, new lows, which is the indicator. Again, you just add that, type in DV, net, or actually let's just do new, can't type here. New highs, new lows, which is an indicator. We've also got stocks above the 40 SMA on the NYSE to show breadth. So that's kind of my market monitor dashboard. I've got the indexes here, mega caps, as well as themes in a performance chart. Then here I've got my main performance chart, which shows the different theme ETFs, how they perform today, as well as over the past 20 days to see rotation, leading themes, all of that. This gives you a really good sense of rotation. I've got the Deepvue heat map app, which allows me again to analyze, what stocks are standing out, what are the outliers today, over the past 20 days, all of that. All these data points to control this heat map are fully customizable. And I'm going pretty fast through this just because we've got other tutorials on that. And I just kind of want to give an overview of how I use this. So I look at the Deepvue leaders, see, Rivian standing out completely. Nice breakout today. Could watch this for a pullback. RKLB as well. This was on the Trade Lab newsletter yesterday, broke out nicely. So again, this is just a helpful way to analyze and find outlier moves. So MSTR off the bottom here, Reddit breaking out through that pivot, again, from that tight area, VST following through. Then group ranks, I use this, basically the preset is what I use right there. I've got post-market movers one, which allows me to look at post-market gappers, gap ups, gap downs to analyze earnings reports. I've got bubble charts, which again allows me to identify outliers. You can choose with these any watch list or screen that you like. And then, take a look through the stocks, and these move in real time based on these data points. So you can see Rivian really standing out here. So this outlier is super clear in this visualization. And I think the bubble charts aren't used enough. And I definitely encourage you guys to check it out and see the cool customizations that you can build using this, using the bubble chart feature. Then lastly, you've got execution, which is basically, my setup for executing trades and using my daily focus list, the Deepvue leaders to get a sense of how things are moving right there in the morning. All right. You do a heat map during pre-market. Let's go to heat map. So we've got pre-market price percent change, pre-market gap, Price percent change would be kind of what you want to see what's moving big in pre-market. So Rivian already was making a big move in pre-market. You can see that gap up here. VSD also was making a big move in pre-market. So yeah, we've got pre-market data points in here that you can add and identify those movers before they really make really start the day. All right. All right, cool. So that's pretty much what I wanted to cover today. Let me see if there's any key questions that I want to answer here, but hopefully I answered a lot of questions proactively. And this tutorial is really just scratching the surface of what Deepvue offers. So I'd highly recommend checking out our YouTube channel. You just go to YouTube, search Deepvue in the top, and you'll see the tutorials that I've created, as well as checking out the knowledge base, which you can access right here to see articles. Say you want to learn about bookmarking screeners, which is what we talked about today. We've got an article created there for you that shows you a step-by-step how to go ahead and do that and where it shows up. So that's those are the resources that we have available. And again, if you have any thoughts, criticisms, feedback for us, let us know, because we always will be iterating and making Deepvue better, bringing new features. I think you guys have seen that. The Deepvue users attending right now have seen that. We're always making things better, adding new stuff that you guys are requesting. We're very committed and invested in making this the best platform possible, and I hope you guys can see that investment and how much we're putting into this. This is our daily driver every single day, so I have a bunch of features that I want to bring in the platform. I go ahead and submit them as a feature request, and that way it gets into the pipeline. So if you have a good idea, please go ahead and let us know. But thank you guys all for tuning in. Let me see if there's any key questions I want answered. Oh, so to view pre-market price action, what you want to do is go to an intraday time frame. So let's say 5 minute, and then right click on your chart, go to settings, and then switch from a regular trading session to extended trading. And that way you can see post-market, you can see pre-market as well. So if we go to, let's say CRNC, you can see the pre-market move right here, gapping up, and then the post-market, it's pretty tight. So that's how you see pre and post-market data points in or price action in Deepvue. Mike asks, how do you save your dashboard that you just created? It saves automatically. So at the beginning, when you create a new one, it asks for a name. You go ahead and save it then, and then it'll just kind of save any change you make. Steven asks, is the YouTube channel just Deepvue? Yes, it should be DEEPVUV. You can type in Deepvue tutorial, Deepvue screener to find specific videos on those topics. Let's see. Yeah, Anchor VWAP show on multiple time frames. You can see, you can set it on daily and it will show up on the 5 minute, all of that. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. I think I answered a lot of questions already. So definitely appreciate you guys attending. Again, I hope you guys had a great holiday season. If you're not already a Deepvue user, we do have a special offer. You can try 3 months for $50. Go to deepvue.com to check that out. Highly recommend giving us a shot. You'll see the improvements and new features we're adding over those, excuse me, over those 3 months, and you won't be disappointed. So again, we're really invested in Deepvue, making it better every single day, adding new features, new data points that you'd like. Yeah, come give us a shot if you haven't already. And if you're already another Deepvue user, hopefully this was a good refresher for you and maybe taught you, one extra thing that you didn't know before. So thank you guys all for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.